Welcome back. We're doing the Artist Way week 1, the task though. Okay, so last time, if you don't know already, I read chapter 1, week 1. We read it together. It's a great time. If you want to hear it, go back and listen to it. Okay, the task we're going to read together, and I'm going to be honest, I already did the task, and I'm just going to share the task with you. And I'm hoping that by exposing myself on the internet, this is actually no, it's genuinely it's going to be kind of crazy because I'm going to get into it. All of week 1 is talking about recovering a sense of safety, and so you have to talk about like where that sense of safety kind of went wrong earlier on, or the specific comments, or the specific people and the specific comments that negatively impacted your artistic self. And it can be like stuff that happened a long time ago, and that feels like something very revealing to be putting onto the internet, which is just usually not my style, but here we are. So, without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the task. There are 10 different tasks that you could choose from. And in this, she basically says that you don't have to do all the tasks. In fact, most times you won't be able to do all the tasks. So what you should do is you should choose the ones that excite you the most and the ones that you feel the most resistance to, because those are usually where you're going to get the most growth out of. The ones that you feel kind of neutral about, leave those for later when you actually have time. So I did the ones that I'm most excited about and the ones that I'm least excited about, and I'll explain which ones are which as we get into it. For now, I'm just going to read the task as they are. So if you are listening to this possibly for accessibility reasons, then you can kind of decide, come back to this later at this part of the video, which ones you want to do. Let's just get into it. So task 1 and 2, it's going to be the same task 1 and 2 for every single week. So I'm going to read this task 1 and 2 now, and then I'm never going to read 1 and 2 for any other week, okay? Because this is something that needs to be happening every single week. So she's going to talk about morning pages and artist state, which is actually talked about in the basic principles I mentioned in the last video. If you want me to read those chapters, I will. I've already read it, so I didn't read it on here. I just got into it. But if you want me to, I can. Okay, so first task. Every morning, set your clock 1/2 hour early. Get up and write 3 pages of longhand stream of consciousness morning writing. Do not reread these pages or allow anyone else to read them. Ideally, stick these pages in a large manila envelope or hide them somewhere. Welcome to the morning pages. They will change you. This week, please be sure to work with your affirmations of choice and your blurts at the end of each day's morning pages. Convert all blurts into positive affirmations. Okay, so I've been working on that. I'm not going to share that yet because it doesn't feel like it's done yet, like the week isn't finished. There is a check-in at the end, and I think I'll do that as like a separate thing. So maybe that'll be put into a separate video. So that we'll save that for the end. The second, take yourself on an artist date. You will do this every week for the duration of the course. A sample artist date. Take $5 and go to your local 5 and dime. Buy silly things like gold stigum stars, tiny dinosaurs, some postcards, sparkly sequins, glue, a kid's scissors, crayons. You might give yourself a gold star in your envelope each day you write, just for fun. Okay, those are the first 2. It's going to be every single week. Never going to say them past this video. Great. Now this is specifically for the week 1 of recovering your sense of safety, 3 through, what did I say, 10? Here we go. 3, time travel. List 3 old enemies of your creative self-worth. Please be as specific as possible in doing this exercise. Your historic monsters are the building blocks of your core negative beliefs. Yes, rotten sister Ann Rita from 5th grade does count. And the rotten thing she said to you does matter. Put her in. This is your Monster Hall of Fame. More monsters will come to you as you work through your recovery. It is always necessary to acknowledge creative injuries and grieve them. Otherwise, they become creative scar tissue and block your growth. 4, time travel again. Select and write out 1 horror story from your Monster Hall of Fame. You do not need to write long or much, but do jot down whatever details come back to you. The room you were in, the way people looked at you, the way you felt, what your parents said or didn't say when you told about it when you told about it. Sorry. Include whatever rankles you about the incident. And then I remember she gave me this real fakey smile and patted my head. You may find it cathartic to draw a sketch of your old monster or to clip out an image that evokes the incident for you. Cartoon thrashing your monster, or at least draw a nice red X through it. 5. Write a letter to the editor in your defense. Mail it to yourself. It is great fun to write this letter in the voice of your wounded artist child, to whom it may concern. Sister Anrita is a jerk and has pig eyes, and I too can spell. 6. Time travel. List 3 old champions of your creative self-worth. This is your hall of champions, those who wish you and your creativity well. Be specific. Every encouraging word counts. Even if you disbelieve a compliment, record it. It may well be true. If you are stuck for compliments, go back through the time travel log and look for positive memories. When, where, and why did you feel good about yourself? Who gave you affirmation? Additionally, you may wish to write the compliment out and decorate it. Post it near where you do your morning pages or on the dashboard of your car. I put mine on the chassis of my computer to cheer me as I write. 7. Time travel. A lot of this is kind of like going back because it's a recovery. So there's a lot of reflection that's needed. Okay, so time travel. Select and write out one happy piece of encouragement. Write a thank you letter. Mail it to yourself or to the long lost mentor. 8. Imaginary lives. If you had 5 other lives to lead, what would you do in each of them? I would be a pilot, a cowhand, a physicist, a psychic, a monk. You might be a scuba diver, a cop, a writer of children's books, a football player, a belly dancer, a painter, a performance artist, a history teacher, a healer, a coach, a scientist, a doctor, a Peace Corps worker, a psychologist, a fisherman, a minister, an auto mechanic, a carpenter, a sculptor, a lawyer, a painter, a computer hacker, a soap opera star, a country singer, a rock and roll drummer. Whatever occurs to you, jot it down. Do not overthink this exercise. The point of these lives is to have fun in them, more fun than you might be having in this one. Look over your list and select one. Then do it this week. For instance, if you put down a country singer, can you pick up a guitar? If you dream of being a cowhand, what about some horseback riding? 9. In working with affirmations and blurts, very often injuries and monsters swim back to us. Add these to your list as they occur to you. Work with each blurt individually. Turn each negative into an affirmative positive. And 10. Take your artist for a walk, the 2 of you. A brisk 20-minute walk can dramatically alter consciousness. Okay, so I did, let's see, 1, 2, 3 of them right now. I'm just going to go through 3 of them. I have another one starred, so I really like the idea of doing the walk, and I think I might kind of make that a daily thing, just like a quick 20-minute brisk artist walk to like clear my artist mind. But obviously I'm just starting that. And I haven't done that yet. So I guess I can take videos while I walk. But I feel like that kind of beats the purpose. For me, it would be about like disconnecting from my phone and disconnecting from things and just like allowing my brain to breathe for a bit. So that's not really something I can share here. So I'm going to share the other things. Okay. So what I was most excited to do was 6 and 8. So 6 is about listing 3 old champions of your creative self-worth. And then 8 was if you had 5 other lives to lead, like, you know, what would you do in each of them? The ones I was least excited about, that I also ended up doing because, you know, you had to do both. The ones that I was least excited about was choosing 3 old enemies of my creative self-worth. Yeah. And I guess the other that I'm least excited about would be like writing like the horror story for that Monster Hall of Fame, like something that happened. And so I kind of did both in the same go. So instead of just writing their name, I wrote their name and then I kind of jotted a little bit down about like how they ended up in that Hall of Fame. And so I wasn't super excited about that because I guess I don't hold it to these people anymore. Yeah, I that's the simplest way I can think to describe it. You are going to find out, and if my family sees this, they are going to find out that they are mentioned in these. And I think that's just the name of the game. I'm gonna put a disclaimer here and say that none of this is personal. It's just, you remember the strangest things sometimes. Things impact you in ways that other people won't realize. And that goes for the compliments as well. I am almost certain that any and all of the compliments that people gave me, they probably don't even remember giving me these compliments, or they don't remember it that strongly. But it's interesting what you choose to remember, or like what really sticks with you for whatever reason. So that's also how I feel about the enemies part. So I wasn't super excited to do that one, but I guess it's because I don't feel super attached to it anymore. But in case it is still hurting me in a way and I'm unaware of it, let's bring it to the surface, acknowledge it, and move past it. So I'm saying this now. If you hear your name and it's not where you wanted to hear your name, honestly, I have nothing against this. Like, I'm really not holding on to this. They asked a specific question. Okay, cool. So, with that, let's actually start with that, because it was number 3. So we're going to go in order. Okay. So number 3 was list 3 old enemies of your creative self-worth. And then I'm going to do kind of 3 and 4 together, because 4 is about writing out the horror story. So I'm going to say who, and I thought about like not even saying the name, like, oh, it's just a person in my life, but it's just not that deep. It's just not, I don't want to diminish this for anyone who's doing this, and for them it was that deep, because it totally can be. These are just the first ones that came to my mind, and maybe I'll think of other ones that are actually so much deeper. But I just did this exercise right before starting, like hitting play on this video. And to me, I don't feel super like hanging on to this. And I'll kind of respond to I'll talk about how I felt in the moment, how I reacted in the moment, and then over time. Okay. So, first on my, Old Enemies Hall of Fame, my Monster Hall of Fame, I'm so sorry, is actually my oldest brother, Javier. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe he wouldn't be so shocked to see himself here, because I think when you're siblings, you kind of just poke fun at your siblings all the time. To give a little context, though, he is my older sibling by like 6.5 years, so almost 7 years. And so I think when there's that large of an age gap, you kind of, when you're a lot younger, you just kind of look up to them a little bit more. And he just always ragged on my singing. Like, one, I love music. Like, love music so much. You're gonna hear music come up a lot in this probably, and you might hear my singing come up a few times in this little list right here. Just ragged on my singing a bunch when I was a kid, like really young. I was probably in elementary school. He just ragged on my singing a bunch, and I would sing all the time because I loved music, and I was probably undiagnosed ADHD, so I would just be around the house singing constantly. And to him, he just made it sound like it was the worst sound he had ever heard in his entire life. And then to me, I think that was just specifically hurtful because, I don't know, I like to sing. I actually really wanted to be a good singer. And I will be honest, I think that it is an instrument. So wait, before I get into how to respond, I don't know. I just really believed him for a long time. And actually for so many years, the way that he used to rag on my singing got me to not sing, like ever in front of anyone, not even like in the car, maybe with my parents, maybe, or my siblings who had already heard me. But growing up, like, I didn't sing with friends or anything. It wasn't until I was in high school, I reached a point of like clarity, I'll say, or maybe just not giving a fuckness, of, I love this song, I really want to sing along to the song. And then I would just preface my friends, I'd be like, hey, I'm not a great singer, but I will be singing the song. And then I would just sing along very loudly. And I just kind of exposured therapied myself out of it, but I don't think I really let go of the belief for a long time. In fact, now I would still say that I still don't think I'm the best singer. So I genuinely might just not be a great singer. But what I was going to say earlier was that I also do believe that singing is, your voice is an instrument. And it is actually an instrument that I don't think I'm not Beyonce. Like, I'm not a naturally born like singer in that way. I don't think I am, in my personal opinion. But also, I don't think I have a cookie cutter voice in any way. And I like my voice when it sings certain songs, and I like to play with my voice, and I like to learn that instrument, but I've never had any formal training in it. So anything that I've learned has just been myself and YouTube, and I would love to focus more attention on learning my voice as an actual instrument. So I'll say that. So sorry, Javier. We're number one. And I also think it hurt a little more when he said it, because he's actually the first person who like to influence my music taste ever. You know, it's just your older brother. I don't even remember my parents. This is just in my consciousness. Of course, they listen to a lot of music, but as a kid, I don't remember them listening to a lot of music. It wasn't until like my brother started getting into, I don't know, when he started like really like digging and looking for artists when he was in high school. And I just like inherited his music taste and then expanded on it. Okay. The second person, and I feel so bad actually, putting him on this, because one, I know he's going to listen to this, and two, because he's actually encouraged my creativity in so many different ways. So I'm going to emphasize that these are two specific moments in time. I almost didn't even write his name, but it's the only, like, the specific moments I could think of. So this one goes to my dad. When I was a kid, there were two specific moments that I can think of. That's really it. Other than that, he would always encourage us to do like all sorts of creative things. But I remember I really loved to write. I've always really loved to write, and I read The Hunger Games when I was in middle school, and I was so inspired by Suzanne Collins and her writing and just the style of writing. I was so inspired by the way that she built a narrative, and the way that she told a story. And it inspired me to write like a chapter 1 of my own. And I do this all the time. I don't know if this is ADHD or if this is just I don't know, probably ADHD, to be perfectly honest. But I will write a bunch of chapter 1s. I will write a chapter 1 and then go, okay, I'm done with it. And then like not finish whatever novel in my head that I thought this chapter 1 would be great for. So I wrote a chapter 1. I don't even know what it was about anymore, but I just remember I read it, and I read it to my dad, and he was just like, mind you, we had just finished reading The Hunger Games together as well. I read it and then I reread it with him. He was like, this sounds just like Suzanne Collins. Like, you're trying to make yourself sound like her. And I remember at the time, I didn't even think of that. Like, I didn't even realize. Maybe he's right. What I was doing was like punctuating the end. Like, the end of the chapters had more of a gut punch in the way that Suzanne Collins does during that whole trilogy. But I didn't think of it in that way at the time, to be perfectly honest. And so when he said that, it felt like a gut punch to me. I was like, are you saying that I'm plagiarizing someone? Which is not what he was saying at all. But it's just what stuck out to me in the moment. And I remember I was really scared to write when I was inspired anymore, because then I was scared that I might be mimicking somebody else's voice. And then I kind of got into my own head about it, and I was like, do I even have a voice? Like, have I ever written something in my own tone before? I do not think that anymore. I just want to say that right now. But at the time, that, yeah, was something. The other thing was, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Robbie. I'm so sorry. Okay. When I graduated college, mind you, he had a reason for this. My essay was non-traditional for sure. And his comment was about it being non-traditional. But it kind of hit that Hunger Games wound. And he didn't know about it. And at the time I didn't feel like explaining it. And it just didn't feel like it was worth getting into, to be honest. So I feel bad writing it out. Okay. So when I was in college, in order to pass, like to fully graduate, I had to write a thesis for my BA degree. And we spent months and months, like almost the whole, we essentially were writing it for like the majority of our senior year. But definitely from like January to May, we were writing it. Kind of coming up with the topic and researching and stuff before then, and then from January to May, like the real writing was happening, at least for me. Well, I took me a long time, obviously. Wrote the thesis, rewrote it many times. It's a little untraditional, but that was also part of how I wanted to write it. It was part of the creative part of how I wanted to do this. And I submitted it. And it was approved, which meant that that's essentially, it was approved. It passed, like I could graduate because it was approved. And after it was approved, I gave it to my dad and I said, like, hey, I finished my thesis. Do you want to read it? He said, yeah, send it over. And he said, so many things about it were so bad to him. He disliked it so much that he actually asked for me to go to the board in my school and ask them if I can take it back and just rewrite it from scratch. And I was like, yeah, there's no way I'm doing that. It's already been approved. And that was like months and months and months and months of work. So, okay, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm apologizing. I think I'm apologizing because I'm saying it on here. I will say when we talked about this, like this is old news for me, at least, that I don't feel very attached to this. But this is just, it's the only thing I could think of at the time. And I guess the reason I thought of that was like, oh, like maybe we just communicate differently, or like maybe the reason he said that was because the genre obviously was an academic essay, and I broke some of the rules of an academic essay. Like I included the first person. I started off this academic essay, my college thesis to graduate, with the first person narrative. And I specifically, kind of creatively, it was a creative decision, wanted to break the rules a little bit. And still maintain the integrity of an academic essay. But I wanted to break the rules at first because I felt that it approached the subject in a much more, I don't know, in a truer way. But I think it was, I don't know, just not received well, I guess. But it's okay. Like, not everything is for everyone. And then the last one is by somebody that used to be an old friend, a person. I'm like, should I give names? Since this person is no longer in my life, I will not give a name. But basically, we were friends around the pandemic time, like kind of obviously before the pandemic, and then we were friends during the pandemic. And we hung out a lot more during the pandemic, and they were a musician, they were a guitarist. And I decided, I had taught myself how to play the uke, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to teach myself how to play the guitar because that looks like a lot of fun. So I went to go teach myself, and I actually learned how to play a song. And then I went to go sing that song. It was Cedar Lane by First Aid Kit. I love them. And I was just really excited that I could actually like play my first song on guitar and sing it. And this was around the time that I was graduating from my BA degree. And it was super small university, like super small graduation. Only a few, there were only, I think 10 people graduating, and 12 people maybe graduating, like super small in the BA and MA. Okay, maybe it's more than that. It was like 15, but it was still not a lot of people. Their friends and families. That was really it that was invited to on the Zoom link for the graduation. And because it was so small, everyone was more or less an amateur musician. And so that we're having like these little performances during like the intermission. And I thought it would be fun to like perform as well. Or to just send in a recording for them to play, which is what they were doing. And so I went to go and record it. He had just got like all this new recording equipment, and I went to go like use recording equipment, said I could, to record this and like submit it, and I was just kind of struggling with with Logic basically. And so I asked for some help. Just for no reason at all, just snapped on me and said like, you really shouldn't be doing this. You're really not a good musician. Like, you're not a good singer. You're not a good musician. Like, this is like really dumb. You shouldn't even be doing this. Really shocked by the tone, and was really shocked by the words. I don't know. I get 2 people's votes. Maybe I am just a bad singer. Either way, you can't shut me up. So I didn't end up submitting anything. I just actually stopped trying to record it, and I didn't submit anything, and that was that. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Well, I guess that last one, the other 2 are, it is what it is. I guess that was like so long ago. The other one is like more recent. And so maybe that one is like, oh, that sucked. And I think it's more like the ramifications of right after. Because I think with like, my brother, he ragged on my singing forever. And, I always think of it as like, yeah, but I kind of like overcame that by just doing it anyway, practicing with my voice anyway. And then like even like the college thesis thing, like, I don't know, at that point it was just kind of, I felt like that made me more aware of my writing. The Hunger Games thing did, like, I always found a way to like, it was positive, like it maybe hurt in the moment, affected me momentarily after, but then I thought about it and I was like, okay, well, like, what can we do with that? The last one just felt, I don't know, mean, I guess, for like, what reason? Why are you snapping at me? We're adults. And also, it was just something I was excited about. It was like for a very small group of people. It wasn't a big deal, but like, it was like, even though there were people who were performing and that were also amateurs, somehow me doing it was like a really bad thing. And I also remember kind of feeling like, man, that's not fair. Okay. So that was number 3. Number 6. I love this one. Okay, this is the one I was most excited. List 3 old champions of your creative self-worth. And then this is your hall of champions. So people who have wished you and your creativity well. I wanna come on here and say my dad deserves to be on this list as well. He would sign us up for so many creative things. Like, the reason that I ever did a play and really loved it and had no idea I would love it, it was because he kind of forced us into it by not telling us that we were going to be doing it. Anyway, he definitely deserves to be on this list. But I said 3, and I already put him on the other one, so I'm sorry, but I'm mentioning it now. Okay. The first, I actually put my mom. And she was just growing up. She was like the primary person who encouraged my writing growing up. She was really good about, like, I would write something and then I would give it to her, and she would, or I would read it to her. I'd be like, can I read you something that I wrote? And she would always say yes. And then she would like encourage me. I don't know. She would just say it was really good. And she was really good about promoting it to other people. So basically she would be like, hey, Christina wrote this thing. Go and read it to them. Like, she's the one who got me to read the thing to my dad. She would get me to read things to my brothers. She would get me to read things to like other family members or just like any of our like friends or whatever. She'd be like, hey, Christina actually wrote this thing. Like, Christina, go and read it. So there's that. And then also she was always very supportive of, I played the flute growing up. And obviously, I mean, she's my mom. She literally bought my flute, my first flute. And my second flute. Actually, she bought me 2 flutes. Love that. Thank you, Mom. But she also was just extremely supportive of me practicing, even when I was really bad in the beginning, and like getting really good, and then just like if when I had to repeat a piece and just play it over and over and over again, you just have to practice the same piece. It sounds repetitive and like nonsense. She never made it seem like it was stupid. She never like made me feel dumb for not getting it right. We could laugh at like the sour notes that I would hit together. We'd be like, ooh, okay, let's do that again. So it was very encouraging. She was like, yeah, you're very talented at the flute. She would just say that right off. Yeah, you're very talented at like reading music. Yep, you're very talented at like this world of things. Great. Thanks, Mom. The other one is my brother, Elias. So I have two brothers. The middle brother, he would join in on the ragging with Javier about my singing, but he didn't have as much influence over me as that. But he's the type of person who can't hide any kind of emotion because he wears it on his face. So when my mom would have me read things to my brothers, most times I would end up reading them to them separately. They would be in the house separately or come in and out. I don't know, whatever. And whenever I'd read something to Elias, it was usually kind of like one-on-one, and I would read it to him, and you would see him just get lost in this other world. Like he was like fully absorbed in whatever story I was telling him, probably one of my chapter ones. And he just always loved to listen to literally anything that I wrote. And he would always ask for the next chapter. So like, let's say I wrote a chapter 1 that I would never finish the story to. I wrote the chapter 1. He would go, well, then what happened? You have to write the next chapter. So Elias, thank you for always encouraging me to write the next chapter. I'm not even sure if he's going to listen to this. Like, he may never see this. Anyway, not important. But if he does, now I'm waiting on your next chapter. He wants to write a book with me. Where's your chapter, bro? Okay. And then the last person is actually my friend. A friend that always loved... So my friend Jeremy always loved my voice for some reason. Just really loved my singing voice. I don't know why. I guess it felt like such a stark contrast in comparison to like my oldest brother, and then even like the rude comment from I was about to say that person's name, even though I said I wouldn't because they're not in my life anymore. It just felt like a stark contrast. But they literally would like, I remember I sang something a song, that the first ever song that I learned on the ukulele, and they recorded it. They asked to record it on their phone, and they would listen to it like a song, like on Spotify, which was just wild to me. They really just loved listening to me play anything music related. They loved listening to me sing, even when I was like practicing. Crazy. And also like really encouraged my writing as well. I remember one time they said something to they were like, you know what's crazy is I'm pretty sure they probably don't even remember this, but there are two things that they said that like really stuck with me. One is just kind of, it sounds funny, and maybe that's why it stuck with me, but also it's like a very nice notion. And the first is that they said like, you smell like victory, which it's like a funny thing to say, like somebody smells like something, but like it's a nice way to think of like anything you put your mind to is basically what they were saying. Like, you'll do it. It'll happen. You'll create it, whatever. Like, you smell like victory. Thought that was a really nice compliment. And the other thing that like I said, I don't even know if they remember this, but kind of on that same vein, they used to say like that they were like my biggest fan, and that they have like, if they were to put a bet on anyone in the world, like they would put a bet on me. So that is just like, it's very, very comforting, very reaffirming. 3 old champions. So those are my champions. Imaginary Lives. I loved this. Okay. And I'm going to kind of go through this quickly. So Imaginary Lives, I wrote actress, author. And when I was thinking of like writer, author, I was thinking like novelist, like poet, things like that, more like adult genres, I guess. Because then later I also wrote children's book author. I think that would be really fun. I actually do want to do that. A director, a screenplay writer, professional surfer. Oh, I've only surfed once. Here's the thing. I've only surfed once, and I didn't even get up on the board on that time. That's not the point I love it. I think it was the most fun. I wanted to go back. I wasn't able to go back, and I just haven't surfed since then, but I've love it so much. I would want to go and surf every single day if it were up to me. I used to joke with my friend Christina, yes, we have the same name, that we used to go to like Daytona Beach as kids, and yeah, and yeah, Daytona Beach, I think. And we would like, we called them boogie boards, but I think they're like the small ones. They have a different name. But anyway, we would boogie board. And I used to tell her that I was really supposed to be a professional boogie boarder, but just something didn't happen this life. So anyway, I think I could be a great life coach, to be perfectly honest. I know that might sound silly, and I know like so many people are life coaches nowadays, but I feel like I do this for free. So I feel like I'd be a great life coach. Oh, my friend showed me this show recently. It's called, or this platform of shows. It starts with a Dropout, starts with a D. Yes. And there's this one part of Dropout that's like basically they have a different game on every episode. And I literally watched that and I was like, I think I was destined to be a game show host in a different life. 100%. I would love to be a game show host. I would love to be the music chooser. I don't know what the name for this, the professional name is, but you know, like movies or shows, somebody who chooses the song for the vibe of whatever is happening. I think I would be phenomenal at that. I would love to be an interview host of all different kinds. I think that could be like talk show host, but I think that could also be like just interviewing, like street interviews, interview host. Great. Concert organizer. Actually, when I was a teenager, I told who I didn't know this was going to be the vice president of my university later, but not the vice president, president. Anyway, I told him before I knew that I actually wanted to be I wanted to be like a concert organizer, and I wanted to organize music festivals. So talent acquisition is what I put down, but I was thinking for like music and art, kind of along that same thread. I don't know, I have this very strong belief that I can see somebody's potential well, and that I don't know, if I trust anything, I guess it's my music taste. And I guess my art taste. So my taste in art, if I trust anything, it's my taste in art, at least in other people's. And so I think I would make a great like record label person that goes out and like talent scout. That's the word that I'm thinking of. I think I would make a great talent scout. I think that would be so much fun. Art dealer along the same thread, founder of a nonprofit. I just love contributing. Podcaster. Hello. Psychic. Yeah, I read tarot, and I'm a Pisces, as I mentioned in the last thing, which I think Pisces are incredibly intuitive. They're probably the most intuitive sign. Doesn't mean that they'll tap into that. But yeah, I would love to be a psychic. That'd be fun. I do read tarot, so I guess that's kind of already happening. Speaking of which, I'm thinking about adding like tarot content to this on like a different playlist. Let me know if that's something that's interesting to you. Monastic. Yeah. So when I was a kid, I actually wanted to be a nun. And so many times I went to a super small Buddhist university inside of a Buddhist monastic community. It was a secular liberal arts school inside of a Buddhist monastic community. Super interesting, but it was founded in the Buddhist tradition. Anyway, very different story for a different time. Very interesting university though. And I spent a lot of time reading about so many different religions, and I just thought there was so much wisdom in the world and in the texts that we're reading. We're also reading the classics. And I thought, what better way than to devote your life to really like embodying this? And I thought that one of the best ways to do that would be to be a monastic. The problem for me was when I thought about like assigning myself to only one tradition forever for the rest of my life, that felt a little too confining. So no monasticism for me this lifetime. Musician. I think that has come up a lot, but musician as well. Composer. I mentioned that I played the flute. The first ever instrument that I took lessons for was the piano, and I only took them for a little bit. Unfortunately, my piano teacher got cancer, actually, and she had to stop teaching. But I really was invested in learning how to read music so that way I could write music. And I don't know why I was so interested in that, but I just was. Maybe it was because I like to write, so I figured, oh, this is like another language. Let me write in this other language. I really wanted to create like whole musical lines, whole musical narratives. So I think a composer, classical and otherwise, I would love to learn all different types of genres. A philosopher, I got a degree in the classics. It would be incredible if in a life I was just dedicated myself not just to studying philosophy but like writing your own philosopher. We need a new Karl Marx, guys. Anyway, a genetics researcher, love genetics. I love that side of science, and also scientist. So anyway, this was actually so much fun to do. It was kind of fun to walk down memory lane. It was kind of fun to kind of visit the moments that, what was interesting to me is a lot of times we don't remember these moments in our like conscious either. It's not like I'm walking around thinking about this stuff on a daily basis. It's just something that happened once and then either stuck in your brain or didn't. And if it did stick in your brain, then it probably affected your actions more than you realized. And I think that's what I realized this time, is that it's not always good to like, it's one thing to harbor, it's another thing to acknowledge. And I really enjoyed these exercises because I didn't have to sit and live in like those experiences forever. But I got to remember them momentarily, bring them back up, and go, okay, like that is or was what it was. Whereas before, I think a lot of times we kind of, whether they're the bad thing or the good thing or the compliments, you kind of just excuse them as like, oh, it's no big deal. Bad thing because you don't want to make it too bad, or the good thing because, you want to be humble. But like either way, you just kind of end up shoving it somewhere into your subconscious and it affects you whether you realize it or not. At least this way, you're more directly bringing it to the surface and able to do something with it. So anyway, I will leave this as it is. This feels so extremely vulnerable putting onto the internet. But here we go, I guess. Yeah. And next time that I post about this, I definitely just dropped something. Next time that I post on this, I will be posting a check-in for the week. So see you then.